happening?
Hola.
Is my sound? Am I sounding okay?
Talk again. It's some static somewhere.
That's Terry.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Yes.
Sound like Terry in the shower or something.
No, it's raining. I'm outside. You ready?
Yep. The rain's pretty loud though.
I'm going inside. I like sitting outside when it rains.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
I got this new candle from work. Look at it.
Yeah. I love a good candle. Looks like you got a gift card too.
Well, yeah, my wife did. Her birthday was in April.
I'm all in your business.
Yes, you are. No, that candle's cool. It like crackles like a fireplace.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, because it's like a weird off-brand thing. But
nice.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do
All right,
it.
boom shakalaka.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones Podcast. This is the podcast for us preacher's kids to come together and be the absolute worst. My name is Rudy Wilson. I am a preacher's kid. Terry Weezy in the building. He's a preacher's kid. Kellie Leezy in the building. She's a preacher's kid. And Jay Rihanna should be on her way momentarily. She is dealing with a crime scene next door to her house. So I guess we'll hear about that once she gets here. Terry, what's going on with you?
Oh man, other than just working all the time to support a wife and a new fledgling little baby.
Aww.
So tired is what's going on. Always tired.
Okay.
So, but doing good. No, even better than ever because now today was my first day in my new store. Before that, it was just 2 months of training. Because they take it very seriously, which is good. I like that. I like that they take it seriously because when I work, I like to take things seriously. It's like, that passage in the Bible, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. I remember that. I heard that my father say that when he was a little kid, and it always stuck with me. So, go like, if you're going to do it, just do it,
Right.
Because I've got people that work for me all the time. You hear them, oh, this job sucks. Yeah, and you're bad at it. So what does that say about you? What? Even if you think your job sucks and you're bad at a job that you think is crappy, then what does that say about you if you can't do a crappy job well?
Yeah, you suck more than
that. Exactly. Maybe you need to be retrained. Maybe you're the problem, So
I feel that. They definitely don't. Go ahead.
Or maybe in some cases you need to be promoted to customer,
Yeah. They definitely don't take training that serious at Planet Fitness because I learn something new every day because it's so on the job training, especially like the computer stuff. They just be like, oh, we never showed you how to do that. Okay, well, let me show you now that it's a real life situation. So.
And plus, morally, the place I work is their corporate morality is what drew me to them in the first place. Because I looked them up, there's no major stock buybacks. They don't really play ball with Wall Street. They don't franchise. They have 662 locations. Every single one of them is corporately owned, so they can control the quality. They want to protect their brand at all costs, and they use the majority of their profits not to pay stock dividends, but to build new locations. All of those things, I'm like a moth to a flame. To anybody who doesn't bow over to Wall Street and try to make a gazillion dollars.
Right.
Yeah. So it makes it easy to do my job well. So.
Gotcha. That's what's up.
Yeah, because when a company's not moral, I got to get out of here. You know.
Gotcha. I ain't mad at that. Jay Rihanna, what's happening? Welcome.
You are.
A lot.
We live.
Mm-hmm.
We live.
Go for it. We saw that you had a lot going on next door.
No, I'm interested to hear about it.
So Georgia's having a really big issue with squatters, and apparently the governor set a new law. It either went into effect last week or it goes into effect next week or something of that nature. But essentially, up until this new law, squatters had rights. So if they went into somebody's property illegally, I think it was like it took 90 days before you could even start the eviction process.
Right.
But now with this new law, it's 3 days.
Oh, good.
And it's like the squatters have to pay a fee. It could be a misdemeanor. And you could get a year's worth of jail time, whatever.
Well, then they wouldn't have to squat somewhere. They'd be taken care of.
I was going to say, it will also define squatters for myself and other listeners.
So squatters can be two things. I've learned all this just recently, but you have the squatters who literally just go into a vacant house and claim it as their own. And then you also have people who are scammed, where they are, they might pay an application fee, they may pay rent to what they think is the leasing agent or the homeowner, but in reality it's not. And that's apparently happened next door to me, where they've leased to someone, or someone thought they had a lease and it came back.
And why are they climbing through the window then?
So that's a different situation. That was the most recent one. I've been in contact with the leasing agent over there since they've been having this issue. So I called her and just was like, hey, has anybody rented the house? Did you have any showings? Because that's the other thing. A lot of these properties will have like the key lock on it. So it's not necessarily like someone's coming to show you the house. Once you do the application, whatever, they'll give you a code. You can go and do a self tour. And she was telling me, because I was like, well, how does this even happen? She was telling me that someone will schedule a tour with the company, like the real company.
Get the code.
Get the code. And then before they leave, they'll leave a window open, leave a door unlocked, and then just come back and either squat or change the lock so that they can pretend to rent it out to someone.
Right.
And then typically what happens is like when you put the utilities in your name or whatever, the homeowner will get a notification saying that this is now being transferred to whoever. And that's when it's like, oh, something's going on. So when I saw, it was like 5 people in the driveway, 3 cars, I called the leasing agent to say like, hey, did you rent it out? Was there a showing today? And she was like, no, it's not rented out. There's no showings today. And I was just like, well, somebody just went through the back window and sent her the video. The video is a little bit longer than what I sent y'all, but the person goes through the window, goes through the front door, lets them in. And
that's what I was waiting on. I was waiting for the rest of the video. I'm like, so what happened with the people in the front?
I can send it to you. So yeah, the police were called and they were talking to the squatters. I guess they took his license. I'm waiting for the arrest, I'm waiting for it.
Yeah,
but
after
some time they left. And I'm like, wait a minute, we got the video of them going through the window. Like, what else do we need? But I think with the new law, they have 3 days to get out. And then the property owner has to go take them to court or something like that. So I'll keep y'all posted next week what happens in 3 days. But
it's a complicated issue because people aren't squatting just because they're scumbags and they just want. A lot of the times it's families and they're just destitute. It's either that or be homeless. I remember when I owned my house in West Palm, we had a squatter situation it was like a townhouse I had, little four, mushroom style Devasta homes. And it was a Haitian family that had recently immigrated. The father worked and all that. And I just felt bad for him. I never reported him or anything like that. But then after a couple of months, there started to be loud parties into the night and, this and that. And then we had to do something because now it's becoming a real issue. And the cops would come and they would say, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do because the property was owned by Bank of America. And it was a foreclosure. So once they do that, like they don't care, it's not like they have somebody out there checking in on the place. They just figured it's a locked up asset property. And they're like, well, we're going to use it instead of sleeping in our van or whatever. But I often just go, good for you. Cheat the system, damn the man. But when they start getting out of pocket, then you got to be like, okay, now you done messed up. You should have kept your head down, just been nice, introduced yourself to the neighbors like you live there. They could have stayed there for a year or more without anybody noticing.
That's the problem, especially in Georgia. They're turning these homes into trap houses, prostitute things, and like this is a neighborhood with family and kids. We don't want that here. And then of course. My neighbors are the type we'll go over whenever a new person moves in. Hey, we're your neighbors. We'll exchange numbers.
Yeah.
The people who are squatting, they are super hush hush. They don't want to, give you any information. They don't even want to come to the door. And then
are you renting that house?
Huh?
Are you renting or do you own that house?
I rent this house.
Okay.
But then the other issue is, I don't remember if y'all remember during COVID when the investment property companies were buying up everything. And there was a whole frustration that new homeowners couldn't really get anything because, they're coming with their 10%, 20% and investment properties coming in double that. Well, now they've gained all these properties, but they don't have the manpower to keep tabs or track on them. The only reason the police know about half the stuff going on next door from my cameras, and I personally feel like they need to pay me a security fee because I have been doing cybersecurity for them. Like this is the incident that's going on now. I have to tell y'all later all the other stuff that has happened over there. And the only reason they know is because of me, the leasing agent that wouldn't have known if I didn't meet her and we built this connection because I don't want crazy people over there.
Right.
So that was
I said, I said it's a complicated issue because it's very different from person to person. Like you said, sometimes it's a scam artist and they're just trying to make a few $1,000 quick. I've heard of that scam before myself, where they sign you a lease, they take your first, last, and deposit. You think everything's good, and they just wanted your money, and that's it. And they gave you a burner phone number that they bought from 7-Eleven, and they just gone, just disappeared. Yep. And that sucks. And then there are families who just are up against it and, don't have any choices. But, like if you're going to do that, I'm on your side. Good for you. Damn the man. But you gotta keep it in check. Because like I said, with that particular family, I didn't say a word. I told my neighbors not to say a word. I was like, just let them be. They're quiet. It's bank owned. I looked it up because I was in like what you're talking about during the pandemic when they bought up everything. I was doing home inspections. That's directly linked into and every home inspection I got was a cash buy, and it was from either an investor in the Northeast somewhere, or it was a Canadian investor, or
overseas. That's the big issue.
Overseas investor for a lot of German investors, a lot of Chinese investors. That's why the governor of Florida had to change the law. He had to make a law that said that Chinese investment groups couldn't buy property in Florida because they were literally buying everything, and they were paying cash for it. And when you do that, you can literally just walk up and go, here, I'm giving you the asking price in cash. And everybody else gets cut off. Every family, everything. And that's one of the few things I agree with Governor DeSantis on. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. If you can keep your head down and just be a nice person and just pretend that you live there and act the same way as you would, I say good for you. Live there for a year, save up some money, and then get a real place, of your own, legitimately.
Gotcha. Well, we'll be looking for the update on the squatting situation. Kellie Levy, what's happening with you?
Nothing much. It's May, so I'm in my final stretch of work before summer break. I got less than 30 days until summer break, but it's crazy up until then. I'm tired. The kids wear me out. There's something with them every day. Continue to pray for them.
Gotcha.
Oh, I forgot. And just by the way, just to show that I'm not a complete pansy, with that squatter situation, it got so bad that the woman who had the shared townhouse next to them with the shared wall, she's like, I can't sleep. I can't do this. I can't. A young woman, 25 years old, first house she ever bought, worked, saved, did all that. Tragic story. She's like, I had to move in with my boyfriend. I literally had to move out of my own house because it got so bad. And the cops couldn't do anything because Bank of America wouldn't do anything. So I did something. I went over there because I know how to do it, and I shut off the water to the property. And then they figured it out and shut it back on. And then I had FP&L come out and turn off the power and take the meter, so they couldn't do it. And then they put a wire between it, which is incredibly dangerous, but did that. So it became like this battle between me and them to take their utilities away until finally I shut off the water and I cut the pipe and put a cap on it to where there was no fixing it unless you called a plumber and did all that stuff. And then they left. So I was kind of, and then I called the neighbor and I was like, you can go back to your house now. So I felt a little like a hero in that one, but.
Gotcha.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah. Well, stop having parties in a place you don't own.
So for our topic, well, I'm fine. Nothing to do. Y'all know my life.
Yeah.
As
you
far
work
as
we got it.
Right.
No.
As far as the topic for today, I'm just gonna pretty much recycle the one that we were gonna do on our original record date. So
didn't know that.
Well, that's why I'm explaining now. But
that's the topic.
So well, I don't. Come on, guys.
All right,
who
tee it up. It's fine.
So I'm gonna play two videos that Janessa sent. We only had one initially when this topic came up, but I think that another one of the more recent ones that you sent are fitting. But it's surrounding the topic of reasons that you wouldn't attend somebody's church. And so once I show the videos, then I'll explain even a little bit more context, and then we can get into it. So
sure.
Let me share my screen. This was the original video.
Just fall. Never trust in men. Always trust in the Lord. See you Sunday at 10 a.m. God bless you.
Oh, that was the Cinco de Mayo service yesterday.
The Cinco de Mayo service.
Oh, hey. Stop her. Hush. Silence in the name of Jesus. I lift my hand into the only voice I want heard is his. So praise.
What an arrogant jerk.
All right. So for starters, so the first video was more of an exact promo. The other one was, footage caught on tape. But either way, so I want to know from you guys, first of all, how y'all felt about, each video, and then as well, going compared to the topic, would that be a reason that would stop you from attending either church individually? So whoever wants to
The
start.
first one was just a funny promo video. They were trying to be funny. That's it. Put your faith in the Lord, not in me. Blah blah blah. That's funny. That was just a funny bit, And I did think it was funny, and it was kind of like, oh, don't trust in men, trust in the Lord. Okay, that's a funny bit with a message. Good for you. The second one, that guy's just a jerk. He's just an arrogant jerk. Had nothing to do with the Lord. It had to do with the fact that he was singing and she was distracting him and taking away from his moment of his solo and his moment and his whatever. Like, just that second one was just gross. Like, I mean, he can say he and I think he knew it like halfway through. He's like, oh, I kind of look like a jerk right now. So he's like, the only voice I heard is his. Get out of here, man. Come on. I can see right through that. This is about you.
So would either video make you want to attend or not want to attend? Like,
I would want to. I would go out of my way to go to the first one because I'm like, oh, they're creative and they're funny and they're trying to get their message out. Good for them. And the second one, I'd be like, no, I'm specifically, you know what? I'm going to attend your church and I'm not going to put anything in the offering and I'm not going to give my tithes to you. And I'm not going to, I'll just go there and silently judge you because that second one made me angry.
Okay. Ladies?
That's just my opinion.
Kellie, did you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Who's going first?
Okay, so for the first one, I get the creativity. I do get the creativity. I get the out of the boxness of it all. I think they could have done it a little differently and got the same point across and maybe not be so dramatic. Like even if she fell or like the way she did, she could have maybe popped back up and been like, I'm okay. Because the way it happened, I was just like, dang, is she okay? And of course, no one should be, hurt for the sake of a skit or whatever. I think they could have done it where, trust fall, you're supposed to fall and catch the person. Maybe
that's the joke.
Maybe they both fell because they couldn't catch her or whatever, or not the way that lady fell, but like he tried to catch her and he kind of fell down and held her or whatever, something like that. But I do understand the out of the boxness, and I think it was creative. The execution might have just been a little not my cup.
There was probably a fall mat there. They have mats because when she fell, you only saw her legs. You didn't see the rest of her. That's what they do in Hollywood too. Is a lot of time it's B-roll kind of thing. But anyway.
I get it. I'm sure it's editing. It might have even been like a little clap or something, some sound editing or whatever to make it even more.
100%. Rudy knows. Rudy makes videos. He knows about production and how you kind of twist the image to make it, seem like one thing. But I guarantee you, it's obviously staged. It was a staged bit to try and get people to come to the church. So I don't think anybody was hurt. I think she knew about it all the whole time. And
it wasn't like my cup of tea, but I get it. Somebody like you found it funny. Okay.
I did. I thought it was very creative, very funny. Good for them.
Janessa, when me and you talked about it briefly a couple of days ago, what was you said somebody you knew personally made the comment that they wouldn't attend the church, or that was a comment on the video?
Yes, no. It was sent in a group chat with some of my friends, and they were collectively like, they not going to that church. It was like, I'm good. Yeah.
Did they go into details why, or was it kind of the same sentiment you had, or?
Yeah, it was just like I don't personally need that. They could have found another way to do it, but in this trying to reach different generations and different people, I mean, maybe it reached somebody. I don't know, but for me, like I don't need that type of skit. That doesn't really do anything for me. But I get the creativity of trying to do something different. Now the other video. So I read some of the comments because I was like, there's got to be more than him just shushing this woman in the middle of service.
Now, pause before we get there. Do we know where this church is?
Yes. So this is Shawnee. Well,
that's Keion Henderson. Yeah.
Oh, that's Shawnee O'Neill's in California.
Yes, formerly Shawnee O'Neill's husband's church.
Okay.
So I was reading the comments, and several people said, even one person was like, she attends the church, and this lady does this every single Sunday, and it's very disruptive. And she was surprised that no one had said anything about to this lady sooner. And I can see both sides. You know, if you're in a praise and worship moment, it is just you and God. Like, that's you and God. But also I can see how this could be a distraction, especially if this is something you do every single Sunday when they trying to usher in the word, sing the song, and you're over here doing your thing. Now, I'm not a good intervention person. I don't know what the title is. Mediator. Having difficult conversations. Like, that's not my thing. But I do think if this is something that is happening on a weekly basis, maybe the church or the leadership could talk to her, see what her situation is, see how they can help her. Maybe get a little bit more clarity on what may be happening. But I don't, you know, maybe they have and maybe they haven't. I don't know. And then I think there's a level, again, I don't know what's true or not, but I would hope pastors have a level or ministers have a level of discernment on what is a distraction and what is pure worship. And, you know, I would like to give some grace and think that he heard from the Lord that it was distraction. Like, he just didn't in his own facet just be like, you won't have to touch today. I'm about to sing, I'm about to preach, and this is a solo, not a duet. Like, you know, I hope that was the case, but again, I don't know. And I will say, when we talk about would I attend a church for this reason or not for a reason, me and some of family and friends, we've had this conversation just in our journey of people who have gotten married and they're trying to find a church home, you know, for their new family versus what they've gone to as children for decades or whatever. And one of the reviews, for lack of a better word, criticisms, they went to this one church where she said they were shouting for 2 hours straight. Like, when they even got to the sermon, he's read the scripture and went on a tangent, and they just started shouting and falling out again. And growing up in a church where people shout and falling out, it's like, we're not surprised by this, but she didn't want to go to a church where they fall out every Sunday. And she had watched a couple of services online and they did the same thing. She had went in person, they did the same thing. She was like, yeah, I'm not about to come to church every Sunday and just be shouting for 2.5, 3 hours. Like, and so I get it. So when I see this young lady, whether she's genuine or not in her praise, I can see how that's a distraction. I can see how it could turn people off. Like, I don't want to come and now I have to hear her holler and I'm trying to listen to the pastor. So I'm kind of mixed on it. I would need some more information about what's going on.
You know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You kind of inspired me, Janessa, because you're like, I guess just the way you said, like, would I still go to that church? And I realized, like, I wouldn't personally choose it. I'm not going to order it off a menu. But if I feel moved, or if I feel like, you know, maybe God's trying to push me to that church, I would go, even though I was disgusted by his behavior. And again, you don't know you don't know her situation. Maybe she has some kind of mental issue or some kind of physical disability. You know, maybe she's got tics or like, what's that disease where you just shout out things every once
Tourette's.
in a while? Tourette's. Yeah, maybe she's got Tourette's, or she's touched, or she's got some, it doesn't matter. It's not the point. The point is, I wouldn't choose to go there, but if I felt like I was being pushed there, I would go, because we don't want to be like Jonah saying, no, I'm not going to Nineveh, because we know how that works out, right? Like, he gonna put you in check. Oh, you don't want to listen to the guy who cares about himself? Maybe there's a reason I'm putting you there. Because honestly, I feel that kind of providence in my life right now, because I was really upset with my dad's Parkinson's. I was like, man, I was upset with God directly. I'm like, how do you take this man who has been your servant, who's been a world servant, doing things for everybody else throughout his whole life for 50 years, and this is how you do him dirty? Like, I was really upset by that. But then I came to where I am, and I went through a lot of depression and about being in this small town, and I didn't want to be in a small town. I'm a city guy. I need a city. You know what I mean? If I want a pizza at 2 a.m., I need to be able to get it. That's just the way I've always lived. So I didn't want to be in a small town of 36,000 people, and work for a corporate restaurant. I wanted to have my restaurant, but I kind of had a little spiritual awakening that was very deep, very moving for me about, 2 weeks ago. And I called him. I called my father up so he could go through it with me. And I just told him, and I don't know, I feel like, for the first time since my mom, in 15 years, I felt God's presence again, like for real. And I just kind of saw the providence in everything that he's doing. And you know what? I love my job now. It's given me a renewed sense of purpose. I'm a natural born leader, but I've been doing my own thing, working for myself for the last 15 years, which is very lonely for somebody with my personality and that leadership feeling. Like, I'm going to take everybody, put them on my back, and take them to the promised land, whatever that may be, whether it be more money or promotions or just doing a good job and feeling, a sense of pride, whatever it is. And just by doing that, and I lost money doing this, like a lot. Like, I make 30-something thousand less a year now than I was with my own company, but I feel so much more complete, so much more better. And even though I got to wake up at 3:45 to get there sometimes, even though I got to do all these hard things, at the end of the day, for me, it's worth it. And you know what brought all of this? Do you know what brought me here? Do you know what brought me to this place? Not just physical place, but the place in my life where I'm like, yeah, we can have a kid. It's always scared the crap out of me, and it's always worried me. And I never thought I would do it, but yeah, I love you. You love me. If everybody else can do it, we can do it, So because of my dad's Parkinson's, I had to move here. Because we moved here, we said we could have a kid here because it's a small, quaint town with very little danger. And because I came to this small little town, and because she got pregnant, I had to reach out and find a job. And then I got put here. I can see those dominoes falling to the happiness that I eventually got. And it was all because he got sick. So
talk about God's plans are better than our plans.
I know, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to testify, but I just thought that was, and even for somebody as damaged and cynical as me, like, thankfully he gave me a brain smart enough to say that no matter how I feel emotionally about something, I can't ignore evidence that's so obvious,
Praise God.
There you go.
I appreciate you for sharing. I think we forget, even though it's like 6 that watch this, the 4 of us here, and 2 or 3 other people. But we come together every week for the last almost 4 years.
4 years, yeah, 4 years.
Huh?
The Suits effect is coming.
Right. It's coming. Absolutely. But I think we want to hear the personal pieces. We more than just the topic, like we've seen each other's ups and downs and all around, whether we've seen it in the way you look every week, the weight you gained, the weight you lost, your hair done, your hair not done, you're smiling, you're not smiling, you cry at the end, like we've seen it all for the last.
Your t-shirts, your nice shirts. I remember you said something about my nice shirt.
What you wearing this week? Terry came with his nice button-up shirts, work shirts, hair all slick, but
well, you got me straight from work, baby. like straight from work in here half an hour ago.
Right, so. But we've shared our personal stories about our family and about our lives and about all of those things. And so, again, I just appreciate the consistent transparency and honesty that we bring here, no matter what the topic is. So, thank you, Terry, for your testimony. Because I think
you're very welcome. I feel like I'm in a safe place. So
you created space. That's the word.
I'm a safe space with you guys. So.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at TheWorstOnesPK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at TheWorstOnesPK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Just make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show. But to that, so I'm going to speak to the second video first. She needed something, be it attention, be it comfort, be it healing. She needed something in that moment. And to Janessa's point, my hope was that he had the spirit of discernment, to know what she needed at that time. And my hope is that he responded in an appropriate way. Even if the rest of the congregation didn't understand, even if we as outsiders don't understand, that in that moment, whether that was the devil crying out for attention, whether it was truly from a place of needing healing, needing comfort, needing solace, needing something, that his response was appropriate to her need. Because I will say in the short clip, she did be quiet.
Right. So you're saying the ends justifies the means?
Nope.
So
let me finish. So I do think his approach was very harsh. The snapping of the fingers, I think that was very harsh. She's in the choir. And so clearly she's a member of the church, or she's at least been there for a while. And so, and if it's something like someone in the comments said that happens weekly, then that's something that could have been addressed outside of this situation. I definitely think it was a situation that needed to be addressed.
But you don't humiliate somebody in front of the entire congregation,
But in context, but we don't have all the context. We don't have all so I don't know if this is something that we've talked about and you continue to do it. I know there was a guy at my dad's church, who liked dancing. And he liked to go into the front and dance every Sunday doing praise. And it seemed harmless, and it was for the most part. He was just showing his love for Jesus and whatever, but to some other members, it was distracting. And so my father had to make a decision on, do I continue to allow him to show his praise and worship in this way, being the only person, and not only would he dance, he would come and want to shake your hand and, and hug, or whatever. Like, do I say something or do I, let him be? And so I think I know my father said something, hey, let's just put a pause on it for 30 days, couple Sundays, and kind of see, because he did take a break, but he does dance again. And that may have been both him and my father trying to hear from the Lord of, what really needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think, I say that to say that I do think that some of the actions of the members can be distracting to other people. I think if that is the cry out that she has every Sunday, then I can see how that's distracting. Again, I think he could have handled it better. See, anytime you snap your fingers at me, I'm like, wait a minute, we're not doing that. But I'm gonna give, like just said, I'm gonna give him the grace that the Lord then told him there's an evil spirit, silence that here before it spreads to other people. I'm gonna give him that grace. And say that. I do still think, like I said, the delivery was harsh. It was. I think it's something that needed to be addressed, but it could have been addressed in a different way. It could have been, let me get one of my ministers to come and, pray for her, lay hands on her, pull her out from the side, like you said, to stop your whole worship. And he has a beautiful voice. I didn't know he sang, but to stop the whole worship, to address that, then maybe you have a little peace sign, little signal, thumbs up, I don't know, some gang signs to your ministers to go and figure that out. But I do think it needed to be addressed.
One thing, Kelly, I was, maybe this is just the old school church thing, but Rudy, you remember this when people started shouting, didn't the ushers come and give you a circle and
right, because you can't move? Yeah.
Throw the little thing over you if you fell out. Maybe they need to bring that back. Someone's filled with the Spirit. There's a team of people who come and assist, and it maybe that assistance is, they usher them out, get them some water, fan them. I don't know.
Because it can. I went to another church, a church that I frequent down here on a smaller scale, but there was this guy in the front row. And this church I go to is pretty youthful. So you see 21 to 40s, young families. I like it. Cool little church. But I like to go to the 5 o'clock service. And so a couple weeks ago, went to the 5 o'clock service. And those people who got to repeat what the pastor says after every statement. What he gonna say next? Or yes, go past the, he look young guy, and so he young slang. That's on something and blah, too much. It was distracting, and I wanted to, as I was watching that, I wanted the pastor to look at him and be like, "Hush."
Right.
Well, I mean, there's another way to go about it. You just talk to the person privately, and then if the problem doesn't resolve itself and it keeps happening week after week, like you said, somebody mentioned in the comments, which who knows if they're even a member of that church? It could just be some troll online. But even if they're right, then you take her out of the choir, you get her off the stage, you put her back in the congregation. You don't humiliate somebody in front of hundreds of people.
I agree with that, but I do think that distractions need to be addressed. Because again, I haven't been at the 5 o'clock service because I don't want him on the front row. And he knew him because he said his name, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
I'm like,
I understand what you're saying. You have to do something, but you don't do that.
Tell Johnny to stop.
Because I want
you don't do that.
Because I was about to
Johnny to stop.
Can you tap him? Because it's too much. I'm trying to follow along. And again, and I get that with whatever it is that she needed, other people in the spirit, and you in the back, I can't. He couldn't even focus. And so, like I said, so I get it. I agree with you, Terry. There's a way to do it and not humiliating people and not embarrassing them for sure.
As annoying as I think she is, I just felt bad for her the whole time. I was just like, oh.
I mean, I felt bad for her because she needed something before he even addressed her. Like, for her to have to do all of that, like, she is calling out for something. And instead of the embarrassment, or with the embarrassment, because she was already embarrassed, I hope she also got the help. I hope it wasn't silence in the name of Jesus or the name of Lord or whatever he said. And then we're going to go on about the rest of this service and no one's going to address that. Even if him as the pastor didn't address it, I hope that one of his ministers, like Janessa said, I've been to a church recently that still has that team, that somebody went to figure out what was going on. And it could have been the devil. And it could have been I needed healing. I got a lot going on. Like you said, it could have been a mental illness. It could have been a physical impairment. Who knows? But yeah, I think it should have been addressed. But when you snap at me, Like I said, but I'm gonna say that was the Lord telling him that, that's how you get them spirits out. The shit.
I don't think that
What
had
about
anything to do with the Lord. I think that had to do with him. And he snapped. This is a woman that's driven him crazy long enough to where he's just like, will you shut up?
So what was your thoughts about the first video?
The first video I just thought was overkill. Like they just did too much trying to be cool.
It wouldn't cheesy funny. That's all that was.
It wouldn't. I don't want to go to the church. Like it doesn't make me want to go to the church at all. But if I was an attendee, like it wouldn't make me leave. It may just be like Pastor doing too much. Because I know that there, my dad can be super like corny and out the box, and I'm sure there's things that he's done that was like, yep, that didn't land the way I wanted it to. In my mind, that went one way, in the sermon it went another. And so if that's kind of the trend of the things that your church tries to do, and this one just didn't land well, that's fine. I think they tried a little hard. It landed terribly. Definitely.
I thought it was fine. It was fine. It was a stupid joke.
But I think that's the point. Terry liked it. I could care less about it. So did Kellie care less about it. So I mean, it reached somebody.
Right.
Well,
and whoever
Rudy, what'd you think of
it? Probably has the same type of humor that you have. I think we can all agree after 3.5 years that we have different humor.
Yes. Rudy, you're a comic. What did you think of it? Did you think it was funny or?
Yes. I mean, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I mean, I didn't think it was the best bit in the world. It wasn't like funny to me, but I understood it, and it wasn't like necessarily like a turnoff for me. I do understand why it would be a turnoff for some people, because even believe it or not, I mean, even in like there's churches who would like invite like just say Christian comedians, to perform like at some point during service or whatever like that, and that's a turnoff for people. Like they like, y'all, I don't want to come to church to laugh at a comedian, and he's telling clean jokes, you know what I'm saying? But they rather just come sing, worship, and hear the word, and if we're gonna do comedy, maybe do it on a Saturday or off day or whatever like that. So, which once again,
or do it in a video,
But no, I mean they don't want it at all during worship service is what I'm saying. So there's always been kind of conflict when it comes down to teetering that line with the humor and stuff like that. I know even a church that my auntie attends in Illinois, is a little bit outside of Chicago. I remember being there one time, and the pastor was talking about how he didn't have a problem with it, but he invited many years ago David Mann to come and be Mr. Brown or whatever like that, and it was funny, clean comedy, whatever like that, church style jokes or whatever. But some people had a problem with it. So, I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying? I think y'all kind of even hit it on the head when you said, everybody has a different sense of humor. Everybody has a different draw. And that video could have easily drawn a lot of people, and it could have also turned a lot of people off. Just like with the second video, that video could easily turn a lot of people off, but also draw people, because the people who don't want to hear the yelling and whatever, they like, yeah, man, I like a pastor who can shut somebody up. You know what I'm saying? But then some people may look at that and be like, he didn't need to do all that. What that second video did do for me, though, was because of course I know who that guy is, but I never actually like watched him. So after Janessa initially sent that video, it did make me like go and like look up their service on YouTube just to see what the normal vibe is, because the church that I grew up in Atlanta, it definitely didn't happen every Sunday, but there's definitely Sundays throughout the years where the preaching never even happened, because they shouting and running around and screaming for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Bishop would just decide he's just not going to preach that day. He just going to let them go ahead and do their thing. Like, once again, it wasn't an every Sunday thing. I mean, he preached more Sundays than not, but that is, so even just somebody hollering out like she was doing wasn't abnormal to me. Like I've seen that type of stuff my whole life, or heard that type of stuff my whole life. So, but even going to like the snapping and stuff like that, Kellie, like me going and watching his service, like snapping is something that he does. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Now, granted, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying him doing it for whatever reason is a good thing or a bad thing, but it is his thing. Like he I noticed, like, even in other parts of the service I was watching, like that's his little thing, like the snapping.
Okay.
So
maybe it was just this natural thing. It
yeah.
wasn't specific to this situation, but it was just
right. That's his, that's
you
his
could
thing.
tell,
but
you could tell he does that to his wife all the time. Hey, babe. He does it to his wife. You know he does.
His recent wife, she's a little feisty. I don't know that'll happen, but I'm not in their house, so I don't know. But either way, that, like I said, that is his thing. And they are the type of church that will have praise breaks and and stuff like that. And so and I get, like, because we're only seeing a small clip, it's easy to take it out of context, just like the whole Ty Tribbett with the church's whack thing. Like, I mean, we didn't see the whole thing play out. We're not there every Sunday. We don't know if this is a lady who does this for attention and he just finally got tired of it, or he's had conversations with her. Like, there is a lot of context that is missing. So to fully just say judge the clip that we saw, but the clip does come off as very distasteful. It comes off as very rude. It comes off as like, dang, why you had to do that later like that? It almost takes us back to, I don't know if we played the video on here or not, but I think we may have discussed it, or I may have just even brought it up, where when the guy Brian Karn, when he was laying hands at the altar and everybody was falling and the one girl didn't fall, and he fussed her out because he was like, why you up here locking your knees? You know what I'm saying? Like the spirit trying to move and you up here locking your knees.
You moving her. She's unmovable.
I had a moment like that with the pastor who was praying. He kept pushing my head down.
I have to.
I'm not moving.
I have to. And I'm fighting against it.
Yes, like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going down.
Right. No, not
you know what I'm saying? So right. So it kind of gives that same type of vibe. But I agree. Like it definitely, with the little context that we have, I do agree that just watching it just off GP is like, okay, you can handle that a little bit differently. Now, also without context, it does make you kind of question, just say, even her motives, because to your point, Kelly, I thought the same thing. Like, she did stop, which, I've never been in that zone of where she's been in worship, so I can't really say whether, like, if the spirit is really on you like that, if you're able to stop or not. But she did stop. Like, she knew that he was talking to her. I don't know if she opened her eyes at some point and see him walking that way, but she did stop. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought one or two things. One, it was attention seeking. And she just heard him say stop. Or two, the spirit of the Lord was using him as a vessel to get her to stop.
Right.
It could be either one. Right. Either one.
Right. And I've definitely once again, the church I've grown up in, and because even then I was working the cameras and stuff as a kid, and we definitely had people who would go up front in front of the camera that's down up front and start dancing and cutting the rug right in front of that camera every single Sunday. Like, they already know, because when you got a big enough church, you got multiple camera shots like that. Like, you're gonna make it up on the screen if you dancing, or if you know what I'm saying, you got, like, a certain type of reaction going on. And I think people kind of feed into that. But I've also seen people run around the church, and just say make it around without running into anybody or hurting themselves. And there's also people who ran smack dead into a wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I've never been, just say, in that level of emotion when it comes down to worship, to know whether what's supposed to be happening when you're that deep in. But I do think that, like I said, that clip definitely can come off as a little harsh, especially just because of how and then, because I think, Kelly, you even kind of said it while the video was playing, when he was like, I only want to hear God's voice, and you was like, and yours, like, you're right, and his, because it's like, you only want to hear God's voice, but you singing though, you know what I'm saying? Like, so where does God's voice fit into this picture? Like,
you
so
be
she
quiet
needed,
too. God only if the Lord done told you I only want y'all to hear my voice, then it means you stop talking to me.
Right, because it's only two people making noise right now. It's you and her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
so
it's funny you
kinda,
said that because my dad literally on Sunday preached, God did not create us to worship ourselves. And I was taking pictures of the scriptures. I was bedside Baptist, but a lot of what he was saying is giving, it's playing into this. It's playing into
right. So yeah, so I mean, I guess even just answer the question real quick. For the first church, would I attend? I actually would attend that church only for the simple fact of I would be curious to see are they always this out of the box, or was this some type of like either new thing they were trying, or even just this one little troll situation they were trying just because maybe membership was down or whatever like that, or do they always kind of use different tactics and methods to try to just say reach people? Because that would be equivalent to, let's say if I had kids, right? And Kellie, I saw your dad many years ago. Let's say if social media was out when we were younger, and I seen your dad, making up songs to white tea or whatever like that, and that was like on the church's Instagram. That would make me bring my kid to be like, okay, well, let me see if this is a consistent thing, or were they just doing this just to try to get clicks? You feel what I'm saying? So I would use that clip today for the same thing. And if I felt like, okay, this is genuinely what they do, based off of the meeting the people in the service, whatever like that, would then determine if I kept going. But it was intriguing enough for me to see, okay, let me see what the follow-up is. And then when it came down to Keion Henderson's church, that clip just off the bat would be a little turn off to make me be like, yeah, I ain't really rocking with this. But that's what made me then go to watch like one of the full services. And even then, I probably would have to watch a little more. Even then, I seen some stuff that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't really, yeah. I mean, I felt like, and I don't mean no disrespect to them when I say this, but it felt like they still low key be kind of playing church. You know what I'm saying? A little bit. And even he, I should say, even kind of does things for, I don't know. Maybe this is a whole different topic for another day, but I'll just say this and not leave it at this. I'm still kind of teetering the line with people using just say church platforms to just say sell stuff for specific people. And what I mean by that is the particular service I watched, which is one of the more recent ones, Shawnee, she just had a book that she just wrote and come out. And it was this whole part of service that was just this real big thing. Apparently she didn't know anything about it. This was something that he did, but like they created all these little signs and this video, and it was just like this whole, and then bringing her up and whatever, and they just was like get the First Lady book, whatever, blah blah blah. And the first thought in my mind was, I wonder if they would go this hard for anybody else in the church if they wrote a book. You know what I'm saying? Versus it being her and wanting her to get on the bestsellers list, and because they have a mega church, well, let's use the platform we already have to get it there. Now, once again, if you were just a podcaster or whatever, and you were using your core audience to sell something because you're an entrepreneur, that's one thing. But to you know what I'm saying? It's just it's a thin line that I just don't know which side that they're on. Like, was this? I don't know how genuine it was, and to me, it just came off. It came off as rude, low key as the clip of snapping the finger and telling the lady to shut up when she was worshiping. So, like I said, maybe I need more context. But even just watching other parts of the service, it just seemed very ceremonial more than just a full genuine experience happening to me. So, yeah, that's it. Janessa, you got your jewels? All right. Let's do it.
So, I was on social media and I came across this video of a father-son duo, And the son is 5 years old, and he has, I screenshotted it because I wanted to say it right. Spina bifida. Okay. And so I think, I don't know what all that entails, but his son needs, more assistance to do everyday items, whether it's getting ready for school, brushing his teeth, putting on his pants, whatever. And the father-son duo, they were just I was going through their videos, kind of went down a rabbit hole. They were showing, just life and the things that he's teaching him. He's really into basketball and, trying to help him balance and shoot basketballs, or if he's in a wheelchair, like being able to push himself up a ramp, just things that he will need later down in life. And, I was thinking about just how challenging that must be, not only for the father, but specifically for the son. And of course they try to create an environment and try to let him do as much as he can to feel like and to be like a normal or any other kid. And so they're showing these videos of just different things he does on a daily basis. And at the end of one video, they said his motto was, "My resilience is greater than life's resistance." And I paused and I was like, now, 5-year-old, this is his motto at 5. And he has a lot more challenges, than I have and the rest of us on this podcast and either other people in the world. And it just really got me thinking, that's got to be our posture in this world. Join it in with some faith, that our resilience is greater than life's resistance. And so I was just like, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's it. That's all. I encourage you all to just reflect and, reflect and just change your posture. Whatever you're dealing with in life, whether it's challenging, hard, you don't like it, it's uncomfortable, your resilience is greater than life's resistance. That's it.
Amen.
Amen.
And the kid's name is Bubba, and the father's name is Chase Harris. So if you want to follow them,
the kid's name was what?
Bubba, and the father's name is Chase Harris, and they're on Facebook and Instagram. But that's the kid's motto.
And he found that motto somewhere and just used it, or he made it up himself?
I think from the video I saw, it said that was his motto. I don't know if he found it or if it was made up somewhere, but that's what
I mean, to be able to comprehend it, even if somebody else came up with it at 5, is deep all by itself.
Yes, that's why I said, wait a minute, I had to screenshot it. I was like, that's good for my adult life.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you. Lord have mercy. Shout out Bubba. All righty. Okay, Kellie Lee. Where's your thing at? Oh, there you go.
So I feel like I haven't done this in a while, but still private at Princess Kells 51, 2 L's, but still private. Come find me.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there. The garden is up and running, and y'all, I've got more stuff than I think I'm aware of. So this year's gonna be, I'm excited.
Give some of your vegetables to the squatters. Give them some.
So no. Look, I clicked on my cameras to make sure they're not coming over here.
Right, I said they may be coming over there getting your food.
Because I got brand new vegetables this year.
It would not be a surprise. They steal in somebody's house, they would definitely steal your food.
Or you get some deer squatters or something, some chipmunk squatters.
Well, I have a case that I do. It's an
I'll come and shut their plumbing off.
Listen, I'll keep you posted, Terry.
Okay, I got you. Make a trip down to Atlanta. I'm closer now than I was before, so.
I know we need another
breakfast.
gathering. Yeah.
Oh, you guys come up to Nashville now, and you come to my restaurant. I'll feed you.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, you talking about Cracker Barrel? I thought you mentioned. Oh, I thought you.
And not to mention there's a hotel next door that we own, that is used because the corporate office is here in this town. So we own it and we use it for like management trainees and executives stay there and all that. And I can get you rooms for $35 a night.
Oh,
Where
wow.
we going, y'all?
That's what's
Yeah.
up.
Well, let's finish these.
Look
plugs
at those
first.
dominoes falling still. Look at all those dominoes falling. So.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rudy.
No, it's Terry. I'm waiting on.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, yeah. It's at Terry Wing Comedy on all social media platforms, which doesn't matter. But what does matter, obviously, is Unclaimed Ashes. It's on Amazon right now. I want your $15, so go get your book.
And of
I
course,
got a baby to feed.
Of course, as always, shout out our producer at RHESA_G is where you can find her at. And yeah, that's it, man. Great episode as always, guys. We appreciate anybody who listens to us, watches us. Please share this episode in our podcast with at least 5 people that you know. We would greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. And we are the worst ones. Until next week, we are out.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.